Welcome, Texas Math Mundo audience. Today, our discussion will be about calculator. Which calculator is best for you? In particular, we're going to talk about calculators as it pertains to the UIL Math Contest and the UIL Calculator Applications Contest. If you're interested, stay tuned. Please hit the like button, make a comment, and subscribe. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. So which calculator is best for you? Well, there are several considerations. What will the calculator be used for? Well, in this case, our answer is for the UIL Math and the UIL Calculator Applications Contests. Another consideration, and not a small one, is cost. How much are you willing to spend for a calculator? A big consideration is functionality. What exactly are you expecting in this calculator? Should it be programmable? Should there be a notes option? What actual functions do you expect in the calculator? Will you like to have batteries, or should it be rechargeable through the wall? You know, as an ex-teacher, I used to hate having batteries because, first of all, they were stolen half the time. And not only that, if you left the batteries in the compartment over the summer, you'd come back and there'd be all this corrosion in the back of the battery compartment. Should the calculator have RPN logic, you know, reverse post notation, or algebraic logic? Should they have a computer algebra system, a CAS system? Should there be a solver? So there are all these considerations as far as functionality is concerned. How long will it take to master this calculator? What's the learning curve? So there are a dizzying array of calculators out there. So in order to focus our discussion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the calculator survey conducted at the state contest where they survey the contestants of the state calculator applications contest, and we're going to look at the calculators actually used by state contestants. This is a good focus because these are the calculators that got these kids to the state tournament. So that's where our discussion will be. I'm going to switch over to my webcam because it's much easier to screen record rather than do all this video editing after recording from this DSLR camera. So I'm headed over to the webcam. All right, what I have displayed here is the State Meet Calculator Survey from 2019. Apparently there were 278 calculators surveyed at the State Meet for Calculator Applications, and this is the distribution pie chart of those calculators used. There's a couple initial observations I want to make. First of all, the meet was dominated by HP, that's Hewlett-Packard, and TI, Texas Instruments calculators. So it makes me wonder, you know, maybe that's just a function of what we find in our public education system. Certainly for the TI. TI has a grip ever since I can remember in our public schools and so that leads to a familiarity for people with that calculator, and they're likely to buy it outside of school. But in this case, we're using it for competitive mathematics. The HP, I think that's a commentary on that RPN, reverse Polish notation functionality that the HP has. So that's noticed. But you know, like, what about other calculators, like the Sharp calculator? I'm not familiar with it myself, but I am curious. I'm really curious about Casio. I have encountered a rare individual out there that sometimes has a really fondness for the Casio. And I hear a lot of good things about the Casio, to be honest with you. So that's one I might just buy just because I'm a math guy and I'm kind of curious. If anybody has familiarity with the Sharp or the Casio or any other calculator that's not represented by this survey, please drop a comment on the below, man. Especially on that Casio. I've heard good things about it, but who knows? All right, so these are the calculators. Let's see what else I noted. Another interesting point about this calculator survey is that they are some of these calculators are out of production. So some of these, for example, the HP50G, the HP32S2, the HP33S, all out of production. So here's what I have to say about out of production calculators. So they're good. The point is, if they're out of production, let's just hope that when they were in production, they had big production runs. Because if they had big production runs, if your calculator somehow breaks, goes faulty, becomes not usable, then it's not so hard and so costly to try to replace it. So the hope is, if it's out of production, that while it was in production, they had gigantic production runs so that you can replace it if you're very fond of it. Otherwise, if they had limited production runs, you're going to find yourself paying a pretty penny because you're fond of this calculator that's no longer in production. Okay, I want to point out that this State Meet Calculator Survey, by the way, can be found on the Calculator Applications Contest website, on the UIL Academics website, under Calculator Applications. I think you have to go to STEM, and then once you go to STEM, you go to Calculator Applications, and there you'll find this calculator survey so that you can take a look for yourself. Okay, so let's take a look. I want to talk about each one of these used individually. I got some commentary on them. Only 2 people used the HP50G, which is out of production according to my notes. It's costly, and it was discontinued according to Wikipedia in 2015. So let me take a look at that HP50G. I looked at it on Amazon, and look how much this sucker cost. Are you talking about, if you have a fondness for this calculator, probably because of the production runs weren't that great or it's limited, you're talking about spending $500 to get this calculator. So it looks like an awesome, by all accounts, it looks like an awesome calculator, to be honest with you. But, you know, the money, I mean, maybe you have a fondness for it. If you have, you know, how much are you willing to spend for comfort level? But only 2 people at the individual state meet used the HP50G graphing calculator. I thought that was interesting. It's been out of production since 2015, and it's extremely costly should one of them break. But let me know if you've used it, and maybe there's a good reason to spend that kind of money on this kind of calculator. All right. So that's the HP50G. Going back to, go back to our calculator survey. The next one, HP32S2. So if I go back to the HP32S2, let me see, I looked it up, and here's a picture. And this one, according to my notes, was in production from 1991 to 2002 when it was discontinued. I think that the HP33S took over in there. So the HP, I remember this calculator. I remember a lot of kids using it. I think some people like the feel of the buttons. That's important. Don't underestimate the texture and the feel of how you push these buttons. That means a lot, especially if you've done the calculator application contest. You know how much that means. So again, this is a very popular calculator, discontinued in 2002, but I imagine that the production runs were big enough. I think I saw it for like $130 on eBay or something like that. So you can still get them, which is an important consideration. But you know that they become increasingly rarer. But who knows? Maybe the people with a fondness of them have become increasingly rarer also. But it looks like a good calculator. I think it's your RPN line from Hewlett-Packard. Okay, so the next calculator I want to consider is the HP35S. That's the one I use currently. Like, if I want to do cheap calculator, not cheap, but at least an affordable calculator, I look at the we get the HP35S. HP35S. And you can get one for like $65. I think this was on Amazon that I took this snippet. You know, it's a good calculator. I enjoy it. I like it. You know, it's cheaper than the HP Prime, which I prefer in the HP line. The HP Prime. I'll talk about the HP Prime in a second. But if you want a cheaper option, scientific calculator with a load of functionality, you know, it has a solver. It has a lot of functionality here. That HP35S in production, it's a pretty good calculator, you know. I enjoy it. It says it was introduced in 2003, No, it's cheaper and it's widely available. That's what I wrote down in my notes. All right, so that's the HP 35S. The next one I want to talk about is the HP 33S, which I believe is, oops, I hit the wrong button here. All right, HP 33S, here goes a picture. So this one, according to my notes, it was introduced in 2003, I guess as a successor to the HP 32S2. But it was discontinued in 2007, so it didn't have the longest of runs. But, this is an interesting note because, Don Kirby from North Shore, perennial powerhouse in calculator applications contest, he swears by this calculator. I need to get him on this program, or if you're listening, Don Kirby, write down in the comments below why you swear by this calculator. They use it quite a bit at North Shore. They're perennial powerhouses, many state championships to their name. And I used this when I was a younger coach, so I do like the calculator. But, it's out of production. There for a while, it was kind of costly if you want to get it. And I imagine it'd be kind of costly because there are only a few years of production. So there are those considerations. But, as far as in the field, the fact that North Shore coach really likes this and they've won several state championships speaks highly of this calculator. So there's that to promote this calculator. All right, that's the HP 33S. Let's see what else is on our survey. Oops, I hit the wrong button here. Let's take a look at the survey again. So we got the HP 35, HP 30, the HP Prime. Now that's my favorite one of the HP line, of the Hewlett-Packard line. On the HP Prime, so one of the things I like, there's several things I like about the HP Prime. They try to mimic like a smartphone functionality where you have several apps. So you go to the apps button, you go to the apps button here, and they have like a triangle solver app, which is really nice because on a triangle solver app, like when you have the ambiguous case, they have an alt button that gives you the other scenario. The ambiguous case when you're trying to solve a triangle. Solving a triangle means find all the angles, all the sides. So they have a nice triangle app, makes problems quicker and easier. I like the fact, if you think about the HP 33S, the HP 35S, the stacks, there are 4 registers. There's only 4 registers. The stacks are 4 deep. So if you go beyond that 4th one, you lose your data. The HP Prime seemingly has an infinite depth to the stacks for the RPN mode. So you're not afraid of losing entries. You can go deep, 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 deep. I don't know how deep, but it goes deep. You never use them all. So the stacks are infinitely deep, it feels like, on this calculator. It has a pinch zoom. You can pinch to zoom it in or pinch in. It's a cool calculator. I really like it, to tell you the truth. Recently, though, for Houston ISD, I wanted to buy some, and I had to go through a parent foundation because none of our vendors at HISD, I could not get it. I contacted procurement. I went through a whole ordeal trying to get some of these HP Primes. So that's a drawback for me, at least in Houston Independent School District, is I couldn't find a vendor for our district that sold these. But I'm a fan of the HP Prime. I do like it. They have a nice sequence app. They have some cool stuff, so I'm a big proponent. But it's a little bit more costly now. The HP 35S is a much more affordable option, and it has plenty of functionality. Okay, so that's the HP Prime, and that does it for the HP calculators that were used on the state meet. So now we go to the TI-89 line. So I'm familiar with all these TI calculators. I've been a public school teacher for over 20 years. So let's talk about the 89. So the 89 is a beautiful calculator. I really love the 89, but I do have one complaint. And it's not so much a complaint nowadays, but back in the day, when we had to clear the calculators after the calculator application contest, well, what happens with the TI-89, when you had to clear it, the stats list editor would disappear. So I'd have to get an existing calculator and transfer the app again after the calculator contest so they could have the stats list editor app available for the math contest. It was just annoying, but I like the feel of the buttons on this calculator. It's a really great calculator, nice solver. I really enjoy that calculator, but like I say, And it's less of an issue nowadays, that the fact that you don't have to clear your calculators anymore for the calculator application contest. But back in the days, it was really annoying to me to have to re-download the stats list editor after I cleared the calculator during the calculator applications contest. But a beautiful calculator, can't complain. I know a lot of people who like it. Okay, so after that one, we have the TI-84 and 83. This one is by far, the 84 and the 83 are by far the most popular ones used in public schools for the STAR contest. The TI-84 Color, for example, the Color Edition, for example, is extremely popular. That's what we use at my current school, and it's a nice basic calculator. And I believe also it's programmable with TI Basic, I believe. So, you know, these are great calculators. They're used on the STAR. This is probably the one that most students have familiarity from class. And so it's a really good calculator. The one you got comfortable in school, most likely. And the one that has, I think, a grip on our Texas public education system. Now, the TI-83 was the precursor, and, you know, it's just a crappier version of this one. This one's nice. Mostly it's chargeable through the wall or chargeable through a charging station, which is really nice from a teacher's perspective. You don't have to deal with the batteries. With the 83, I think you're still using the batteries, and some of these might have batteries too, some of the older versions of this. But yeah, it's a good solid calculator. No complaints about that 84. The 84 and the 83, I kind of lump them together. The 83 being an older, crappier version. 84 nicer, better, leaner, prettier, rechargeable through the AC outlet. Cool. And then after that, after the 83, 84, after 83, 84, we have the Nspire. So the Nspire, okay, so there's two different Nspires. The CX, solely the CX, and the CX CAS with the computer algebra system. By the way, the HP Prime has a computer algebra system also. And so the HP Prime with the computer algebra system and the TI Nspire CAS with the computer algebra system. So some of you all are like, what's a computer algebra system? Well, basically it performs symbolic manipulation. I just kind of put so some graphic calculators have a computer algebra system, which means that they are capable of producing symbolic results. These calculators can manipulate algebraic expressions, performing operations such as factor, expand, simplify. It's nice to have the computer algebra system. I will say this, being concerned with the ACT exam and the SAT exams, the SAT exam does allow the TI Nspire CX CAS, at least the last time I checked. The last time I checked, the SAT allowed it, but the ACT did not. For the ACT, you just have to use the CX version, no CAS. So there is a difference if you're going to consider these calculators for the use on the SAT and the ACT. Last I checked, there was no problem having the CAS, the TI Nspire CAS on the ACT. On the SAT. There was more restrictions on the ACT. You could not have the CAS on the ACT last I checked. And also, like on the AP exams, I believe the CAS is permissible on like the AP Stats exam. So that might be another consideration. I mean, this is just a beautiful calculator. It's the one I used most. I like to supplement it with the HP Prime, because HP Prime has the RPN functionality and nice little cool apps. So my ideal setup is to have an Nspire and an HP Prime on the desktop. But you know, I've known people like I did some state champions, in fact, that do not use the RPN category, logic on their calculators. They just do the straight up algebraic one. So there's people who've won state championships without reverse Polish notation. For those of you who don't know, reverse Polish notation is a logic by which the calculator performs operations. And it actually has a profound impact on how you can do the number crunchers on calculator applications contest. Something to look into. I really dig it. I get the RPN functionality for my students. We use it all the time. I enjoy it. I love it. It's cool. All right. So there it goes. My discussion of the calculators used at the state meet contest. Cool. So let me know what you think in the comments below. All right. I hope you enjoyed that discussion. But let me give a final word about which calculator is best and a final analysis. And what I think is it doesn't matter. Get a calculator you're comfortable with, has a good sampling of functionality. Some people really want one where they can program. So for example, if you need to use Heron's formula, you can quickly enter your side lengths of your triangle, and it'll quickly calculate the area of the triangle. So some people are really big into that. But I think the gains made by trying to program the calculator, it's minimal. More important than your calculator selection, much more important in my opinion, is just work on becoming a good mathematician. Become a good problem solver. If you become a good problem solver, a good mathematician, it'll dwarf any calculator considerations in my opinion, okay? So that's my suggestion. Pick any calculator that has a good representative sampling of functionality, but ultimately work on your problem solving skills, work on becoming a good mathematician. So again, I hope you enjoyed that discussion. Do you have an opinion on a calculator? Let me know which calculator you enjoy. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you disagree with any of my analysis. Also, if you enjoyed the content, please push that like button. It helps me out. And also, of course, if you enjoy the content of this channel, please take a moment and just punch that subscribe button. It would really help me out. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Farewell.